Welcome back. Automakers caught in the crosshairs of the trade war, and that is putting big pressure on a company like Toyota. Phil LeBeau is live at the company's U.S. headquarters with more. Hello, Phil.
Toyota is launching a new version of its bestseller, the RAV4, but there are some headwinds when it comes to tariffs, and of course that involves where they make them. Phil LeBeau's here. He's got the story ahead of a deep dive with the company's COO that'll take place later this afternoon. Phil.
Toyota is facing a major financial blow due to U.S. tariffs on imported cars and auto parts. The biggest automaker in the world projects a $1.2 billion profit drop in 2 months, equivalent to nearly $1 million in losses per hour.
You might want to sit down for this one, because what I'm about to break down will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about Toyota. Yes, Toyota, the brand your dad trusted for reliability and your neighbor won't stop bragging about. But behind that reputation are some alarming updates, controversial designs, and flat-out dangerous features in their latest releases. These 7 models are raising red flags across the board, and some drivers are calling for bans, lawsuits, and full-on recalls. Buckle up, because we're diving into 10 shocking reasons why these new Toyota cars might just deserve to be illegal. The 2024 Toyota BZ4X might lose its wheels. While you're driving, you heard that right. Toyota's highly anticipated electric SUV, the BZ4X, has already become infamous, and not for the reasons they hoped. This was Toyota's flagship EV, meant to compete with Tesla and Hyundai, but it got recalled almost immediately after hitting the market. Why? Because the wheels could literally fall off while you're driving. The issue was traced back to improperly torqued hub bolts, which sounds minor until you realize these bolts are what keep the wheels physically attached to the car. Imagine cruising on the freeway and suddenly your front left tire decides it's had enough and bounces away. Not only is that terrifying, it's flat out dangerous. And it happened not once, but multiple times during early customer reports and test drives. Toyota tried to fix the issue with a recall and software updates to monitor bolt torque levels, but the damage was done. Critics were stunned that such a serious mechanical flaw made it through quality checks in the first place. And here's the kicker. This wasn't even Toyota's first EV-related misstep. Their sluggish entry into the EV market already put them behind, but releasing a car with this kind of critical safety failure, that's borderline reckless. Even after the recall, drivers have reported inconsistent braking feel, rough ride quality, and underwhelming performance for a car that costs over $40,000. And while Toyota markets it as a family-friendly electric SUV, early owners are trading them in faster than you can say software patch. The BZ4X isn't just a fluke, it's a warning that even trusted brands can drop the ball hard. And what's worse is that many Toyota dealerships didn't fully disclose the risk at the time of purchase. Some customers only found out about the recall after they'd driven off the lot. That's not just inconvenient, that's dangerous. Most drivers don't realize how much risk they're taking when they trust new tech straight out of the gate. And the BZ4X is a perfect example of a car that was rushed to market to compete without the proper testing. Let's be honest, if your car can lose a wheel mid-drive, it doesn't belong on the road, period. And yet, the surprises don't stop there. If you thought a wheel problem was the worst thing Toyota had to offer, wait until you hear about what's intentionally built into the next car. We're talking about a feature that could cost you thousands, and it's hidden in plain sight. The 2024 Toyota Grand Highlander's luxury is just a fancy cover-up for cost-cutting shortcuts. Now, don't let the word grand fool you. Toyota slapped a premium badge and a bigger body on the Grand Highlander and pitched it like it was their answer to high-end SUVs from Audi, Volvo, and even Lexus. But when you actually get behind the wheel, or worse, peek underneath the surface, what you find isn't luxury at all. It's shortcuts. And these shortcuts could cost you way more than just money. Let's start with what Toyota wants you to focus on: the size. The Grand Highlander boasts more third-row legroom and cargo space than the regular Highlander, which sounds great until you realize that extra room comes with a whole new set of compromises. The ride quality is noticeably harsher. The suspension tuning feels confused, like it can't decide if it wants to be sporty or soft. You get this bouncy, awkward handling that makes highway driving feel like you're floating on a mattress that hits potholes. But here's the part Toyota doesn't put in the brochure. The materials inside this so-called luxury SUV are shockingly cheap. Yes, you'll see a massive 12.3-inch touchscreen and plenty of glossy plastic, but start tapping around. The dash, hollow. The door panels, thin and scratchy. The seat materials in the mid-trim versions feel more like a used Corolla than a car that costs upwards of $55,000. And that's just the aesthetics. Under the hood, the problems get worse. The Grand Highlander shares its drivetrain with multiple other models, including the base Highlander and even the Sienna minivan. That means the same aging 2.4-liter turbocharged engine, a motor already known for being sluggish and loud under stress, is expected to push a much heavier, bulkier vehicle. In real-world driving, the acceleration feels underwhelming, and the engine groans like it's begging for mercy when merging onto the freeway. The hybrid version? Sure, better mileage, but it sacrifices even more torque and responsiveness. Owners report delays in throttle input and an annoying drone during acceleration, especially on uphill climbs. This isn't just inconvenient, it's unsafe in certain driving conditions. Imagine trying to overtake a semi on a 2-lane road and your car hesitates for half a second longer than expected. That's how accidents happen. Most drivers don't realize that this isn't just a bloated SUV with a big touchscreen. It's a dressed up minivan with a badge designed to trick you into thinking it competes with real luxury SUVs. And yet, some buyers walk out of the dealership thinking they scored a high-end deal, only to discover 6 months later that the quality doesn't match the price tag. To make things worse, there have already been early reports of electrical issues tied to the infotainment system, glitches that require full software resets, audio cutouts, GPS malfunctions. One owner shared that the entire climate control froze on a 95-degree day and couldn't be reset without pulling the fuse manually. That's not inconvenient. That's unacceptable in a $50,000 plus family vehicle marketed as premium. You know what this really is? A perfect example of design over durability. Toyota knows that slapping on some extra chrome, a curved screen, and some ambient lighting is enough to distract most buyers from what's missing under the surface. They're not building these SUVs to last 300,000 miles like your old 4Runner. They're building them to sell fast, look good in online reviews, and rake in high margin profits before the real issues start piling up. And dealerships? They're not going to tell you this up front. They'll talk about the value, the size, the new styling, but they won't mention that the third row seat padding is so thin your legs go numb on a 20-minute drive. They won't tell you that the transmission's long-term reliability hasn't been proven in this new setup. They won't tell you that you'll be bringing it in for infotainment issues before your second oil change. This is the trap most drivers fall into, assuming that bigger means better, or that new means improved. The Grand Highlander might look sharp on the outside, but under the skin, it's more like a parts bin Frankenstein, and it has no business carrying a price tag that rivals true luxury vehicles. Which brings us to the next one, because if you thought this SUV was a stretch, wait until you hear what Toyota is doing with their trucks. They've taken America's favorite pickup and turned it into something that could quietly ruin your wallet. The 2024 Toyota Tundra's engine problems could wreck your wallet before 60,000 miles. Let's talk about the new Toyota Tundra. It was supposed to be Toyota's comeback in the full-size truck market, a bold redesign, a new twin-turbo V6 engine replacing the old-school V8, and flashy tech to compete with the F-150 and Silverado. But while Toyota hyped up all the power and efficiency gains, they conveniently left out the part where this engine might grenade itself before it even hits 100,000 miles. And yes, it's already happening to real owners. Most people think Toyota is bulletproof when it comes to reliability, especially on trucks. But the third generation Tundra's new iForce 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 engine, it's turning into a mechanical gamble. Just head over to any Tundra forum, Reddit thread, or owners group and you'll start seeing the horror stories pile up. Sudden loss of power, oil leaks, sensor failures, and in some extreme cases, full engine replacements before the first major service interval. What's going wrong? Let's break it down. This engine was rushed into production to meet emission standards and fuel economy goals. Toyota ditched their proven 5.7-liter V8, which had been in use for over a decade, for this brand new twin-turbo setup. The problem? They didn't work out all the kinks before rolling it out to the public. The turbochargers themselves are overheating. Oil supply issues have already led to lubrication failures. There are cases where the wastegate actuators malfunction, triggering limp mode mid-drive. That's not a minor inconvenience. Imagine towing a trailer on a mountain pass and suddenly losing most of your power. That's not just scary, that's potentially life-threatening. And it doesn't stop there. The Tundra's new 10-speed automatic transmission, which was meant to smooth out the power band, is now being flagged for rough shifts, random hesitation, and in some cases, complete software confusion. One Tundra owner described it like this: "It feels like the truck forgets what gear it's supposed to be in, then just slams into the wrong one at the worst possible time." Now here's where it gets worse. Toyota's warranty might cover you for 60,000 miles, but these problems aren't always showing up early. In fact, some failures are being reported right around 65,000 to 70,000 miles, just past the warranty window. That means thousands of dollars in out-of-pocket costs for engine or transmission replacements, and dealerships playing the classic, well, it's wear and tear card. Think about that for a second. You buy a full-size truck, expecting it to last 10, maybe 15 years, and by year 3, it's already throwing codes like a slot machine in Vegas. This isn't the Toyota we grew up with. This is a case of flashy design masking deep engineering compromises. And let's talk fuel economy. Toyota claims improved MPG over the old V8, but real-world drivers are calling BS. Many owners are reporting barely 1 to 2 MPG improvements at best, and when towing or hauling, the numbers tank worse than the old model. You're dealing with a more complex engine, more parts that can fail, and no real-world savings. That's not an upgrade, that's a downgrade with a bow on it. This engine should have never been released without several more years of real-world testing. And yet, Toyota pushed it out because they knew buyers were hungry for new, but what they got was unfinished, fragile, and in some cases, flat-out dangerous. If your truck's heart can't handle long-term strain, then it doesn't belong on the job site or on the road. Let's shift gears for a second, literally, and talk about the Corolla Cross. This one hurts because the Corolla name used to mean something. Affordable, reliable, uncomplicated. It was the no-drama choice for smart drivers who just wanted to get from A to B without problems. But the Corolla Cross? It's the shiny new SUV cousin that took that legacy and buried it under cost-cutting, CVT nightmares, and sneaky long-term maintenance costs that Toyota doesn't exactly advertise. At first glance, this compact crossover seems like the perfect urban daily driver. It looks modern, has Toyota's badge of dependability, and boasts an impressive fuel economy rating on paper. But under that clean design lies a drivetrain that's already showing signs of long-term failure, and it's all tied to one key component, the CVT transmission. Continuously variable transmissions, or CVTs, are notorious in the car world. They're efficient, yes, but only if they're engineered and maintained properly. Toyota's CVT in the Corolla Cross has already been flagged in multiple owner reports for whining noises, slipping, overheating, and, most concerning of all, premature failure. Some drivers have had to replace or rebuild the CVT system before hitting 60,000 miles. And unlike a traditional automatic, these repairs aren't cheap. A replacement CVT can run upwards of $4,000 to $6,000, and that's if your dealership doesn't try to blame you for driving habits. But here's what's really messed up. Toyota doesn't make the CVT service interval clear. In many versions of the owner's manual, it implies the transmission fluid is lifetime and doesn't need to be changed unless you're under severe use conditions. But what does severe even mean anymore? In real-world terms, most driving, especially city commuting, hills, or warm climates, counts. And without proper CVT fluid maintenance, you're playing a losing game against time. Most drivers don't realize they're racking up long-term wear every single day. The shuddering when accelerating from a stop, that's not just the air conditioning kicking in, that's the early warning sign. The lag when you go to pass someone and the engine revs too high for too long, that's not a power issue, that's transmission slippage. These are the moments where your car's telling you something's wrong, but you just don't speak its language yet. But wait, it gets worse. On top of the CVT issues, the Corolla Cross has been flagged for lackluster build quality in key areas, cheap interior plastics that scratch if you so much as look at them wrong, road noise insulation that's practically non-existent, especially at highway speeds, rear visibility that's so bad you have to use the backup camera, and that camera. Owners have reported fogging, lens blurring, and even full malfunctions after rainy days or minor bumps. You think you're buying a precision machine, but what you're really getting is a glitchy prototype with a warranty.